And thank you for attending the Bloomington Board of Park Commissioners meeting. With that, I'll call this meeting to order. And Kim, can I have the roll call, please?
Ellen Rodkey.
Here.
Israel Herrera.
Here.
Jim Whitlatch.
Here.
All right, great. Thank you, Kim. And we'll go ahead and move into, Tim is actually going to provide some updates for us about the agenda. So let's start with that first.
Good evening, Board of Park Commissioners, and to all of our guests tonight. Thanks for being here. Just a couple agenda updates this evening. We have been working hard to do a park board on a 2-week turnaround here before the change of the year. For our last meeting tonight, we've got a couple items that weren't quite ready for tonight. Agenda item C6, review approval of contract with Sunset Hill, I would recommend be postponed. And additionally, item C4, the review approval of addendum with REA for the Gateways project, I would also recommend to be postponed. Just as a reminder, that was not a contract for any type of firm new gateway design. That was rather just to continue to work on the construction updates to some of the site plans and potentially develop from the plan that we've put out there. We've had a lot of public feedback we're still trying to keep up with and make sure we've processed that. In addition, with Kathleen being out tonight, we wanted to postpone that to the January meeting.
Questions from you all about that? Okay, sounds good. So if we're okay to remove those from the agenda today, and those will be postponed to a later agenda, we can take a motion for that.
Move that we postpone C4 and C6 on the agenda into a later meeting.
Okay, and Kim, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Ellen Rodkey.
Yes?
Israel Herrera.
Aye.
Jim Whitlatch.
Aye.
All right, motion carries unanimously. All right, so then from there, we will review the consent calendar. We've all been given a copy of this prior to the meeting, so if there are no questions there, I'll go ahead and ask for a motion.
Move to approve the consent calendar. Second.
Okay, and a roll call vote. Kim?
Ellen Rodkey.
Aye.
Israel Herrera.
Aye.
Jim Whitlatch.
Aye.
Okay, great, thank you. Motion passes unanimously. We'll then hear next in our public hearings and appearances section. Emily Book is here to tell us about a Bravo Award.
All right, good evening, everyone. Emily Book, Community Relations Coordinator, and the Bloomington Parks and Recreation Department would like to recognize Ray Major with the December Bravo Award. Ray is a volunteer well known for his Trees from Seeds initiative. This native push encourages Bloomington and Monroe County residents to plant native seeds such as hickories, oaks, maples, poplars, and more. He also helps other volunteers learn the techniques of reforestation by direct seeding throughout the city. Ray is also a regular weed wrangle volunteer, contributing over 70 hours of service at parks such as Winslow Woods, Crestmont, Bryan, and more. His dedication to the removal of invasive species and the planting of native trees in our shared community is appreciated by all. I think he'd like to say a few words as well.
Thank you, Emily. I've only lived in Bloomington about a year, and I'm a retired forester, and I thought I would live a quiet retirement here, but in fact, Jillian Field knows how to find volunteers. You may all know that, and I hope to, in the future, be helpful in helping the Parks Department restore their forests to health and to establish new forests in the no-mow zones that Jillian has established where that's appropriate, and prairie lands where that's appropriate too, for those who are concerned about such things, and to be useful to parks and to help the examples that Jillian initiates here to be useful to other entities of government and to private landowners as well. I thank you all.
You can't hide out in this town. Our volunteers will find you. So, and we have a lot of work to do when it comes to weed wrangling and planting native plants and trees. So thank you so much. All right, we'll move into Section C, Other Business. And so first up, we have a Joanna Sparks with a contract with Centerstone. Hi.
Joanna Sparks, Urban Green Space Manager here today. I'm actually here for Sean Marler, who is not able to be here today to present an addendum to our existing Centerstone partnership. And it's for the work at Switchyard Park that the monitors do for the months of January and February of 2024. Our current contract was developed early in the year, and we weren't anticipating having the restrooms open year-round there at the splash pad. So these folks will be there 7 hours a day, 2 3.5-hour shifts, 7 days a week. And they're doing wonderful things, and it's just been really positive having a presence there for 7 hours a day. It's really helped, I think, a lot of people. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right. I move that we approve the addendum with Centerstone for the January, February employment of additional folks for that time period.
Second. Second.
Great, and a roll call vote, Kim?
Ellen Rodkey,
Yes?
Jim Whitlatch,
Yes.
Israel Herrera.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Thank you so much, Joanna.
Thank you.
All right, and then next up, we have a contract with Snyder Recreation for Bryan Park Playground with Tim Street. And we do have an updated copy of this that we just received.
Yes. Good afternoon. Tim Street, Interim Director for Parks and Recreation. Still wearing my operations hat a bit with these two contracts here this evening. And as I mentioned, we're doing a lot in the last 2 weeks, and we're waiting on legal department to do some review on this contract, but we do have it ready. So staff recommends approval of a contract with Snyder Recreation for the purchase and installation of new playground equipment at the Bryan Park 5 to 12-year-old playground. This project will be funded with ARPA funds. The total amount for this contract specifically is $179,256, but that will be paired with a separate Sourcewell government cooperative purchase of the actual equipment at $180,514. And then just to speak to this, much earlier this year, we started with a community survey. It may have even been late last year we started with this survey in preparation for this about what neighborhood folks and community folks would like to see in this playground. It is our oldest playground in Bloomington, this 5 to 12-year-old playground. It dates from the 1990s, or I like to say the 20th century. It's a 20th century playground. And we're very excited to work with Snyder Recreation. We received 8 proposals from different playground vendors with different proposals of what they would do here. A lot of what we heard from the community is that people were looking for a challenge, given that this is one of our few playgrounds that is just 5 to 12 years old, and that the 2 to 5-year-old playground is separated at Bryan Park. And happy to bring some new things into this playground that are not present elsewhere in Bloomington parks, while also having a really great accessible feature, universally designed decking that runs throughout, utilizing the existing ramp entry on the stone wall and running through all the way to the other side. Installation for this will be sometime during the first half of 2024.
Looks good. Thank you so much, Tim. Any questions for Tim?
All right. I move for approval of the contract with Snyder Recreation for the Bryan Park Playground installation.
Second.
All right, a roll call vote.
Ellen Rodkey,
Aye.
Israel Herrera,
Aye.
Jim Whitlatch.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Thank you so much, Tim. And you're going to stay with, or no, I'm sorry. Sorry, we're gonna, oh, you are gonna stay with us. C3. All right, Whole Sun Designs.
So staff recommends approval of a contract with Whole Sun Designs for the installation of solar panels and related connectivity equipment at 2 park locations. One is the Switchyard Maintenance Building located right along Rogers Street as you enter the main entrance to Switchyard Park. And the other one is the Cascades Golf Course Clubhouse. We put out a request for proposals a little earlier this year, early in the fall, received 2 responses back, and chose the one that gave us the greater amount of solar generation. This will also be installed in the first half of 2024, and the funding source for this is actually coming from the Economic and Sustainable Development Department in funds they had set aside for city sustainability initiatives through the local income tax.
What will the power go directly for those buildings, or what will the power be used for that's?
Yeah, so they will have basically inverters that go back to the panel. I'm not going to get too technical here. I'm at the edge of my knowledge, but but yes, basically those will go back in. The energy generation that they make will be added to the city's solar dashboard. I believe these are city solar sites number 32 and 33 overall. So we've talked to the ESD department. Those will go back and offset the energy usage in those facilities and be tracked through the solar dashboard that the city has across all of these 30-odd installations.
Do you know if we have any idea about what savings that might result in for us?
Offhand, no. In terms of a dollar amount, I know the KWH that they proposed that these would cover. I could pull that up out of the information if needed. It was about 90 panels and I believe 28 KWH at the Cascades Clubhouse, and I believe about 54 panels and 21 KWH at the Switchyard Maintenance Building.
Are those savings passed on to the Parks Department, or?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
Yes.
So, Tim, is this the first time that we work with this company? Or do we have
This is the first time the city will be working with Whole Sun Designs. Yes, so they are still a local company that has a local presence, and they were one of 2 responsive bidders on the request for proposals.
Motion?
Move for approval of the contract with Whole Sun Designs for solar panel installation.
second?
All right, and Kim will have a roll call vote.
Ellen Rodkey.
Aye.
Israel Herrera.
Aye.
Jim Whitlatch.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Thank you, Tim. All right, and I did just want to note, since the Bicentennial Gateway was supposed to be item C4, if you're here for public comment, we will still hear that public comment during the public comment period at the end of the meeting in section E. So with that, item C5, we'll have Julie Ramey come up to tell us about Universal Sign for some trail branding.
Good afternoon. I'm Julie Ramey, the Community Relations Manager for Parks and Recreation, and I am here to request approval of a contract with Universal Sign, Inc. for Phase 3 of our trail branding project. In spring 2020, Bloomington Parks and Recreation hired RLR Associates to develop an entire trail branding and signage system. So new logos, color schemes, and consistency in our trail sign design and placement. In November of 2022, we underwent our first phase of installing new signage per the trail branding that RLR Associates created for us, and that phase 2 of the trail system branding project was completed in 2023. This is phase 3 of the trail branding project and includes additional fabrication and installation of new signs along some new sections of trail, including the Jackson Creek Trail South Extension, the replacement of some larger kiosk signs with updated information and maps from the city's GIS system, and emergency locator signs that we are developing in cooperation with our new GIS system and with the Bloomington Police Department. There were 2 responses to our request for quotations for the sign package, and Universal Sign, Inc. was the low bidder.
started to see a lot of these new signs around, and they're looking really sharp. Any questions?
This is also new, right? Because the previous one, or we have worked with Universal Sign in phase 2, right?
Universal Sign also did the phase 2, so we have had experience working with them, and it was very positive.
And then, so for the phase 3 would be kind of the same signs, or is there anything particular for this one, or is just continuing the work?
Same styles of signs, but in different places for different trail segments. So there are some larger scale, what we call the map panels signs, the flat ones that you walk up to. You can see a map of the trail where you are, read the trail rules, and scan a QR code that will give you more information about the trail and read the sign to you via a video and audio file. And there are also the trail location signs that I mentioned, where we have numbered sections along the trail. So if there is some kind of an emergency on one of the trail sections, anyone who calls 911 and is dispatched through our city police department or local county sheriff's department can give a precise location of where they are on one of our trails.
Sounds good. Thanks, Julie. We'll take a motion.
All right, move to approve the contract with Universal Signs for trail branding project.
Second.
All right, and a roll call.
Ellen Rodkey.
Aye.
Israel Herrera.
Aye.
Jim Whitlatch.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Thanks, Julie. All right, next up, we will have Satoshi Kido tell us about Electric Plus for Switchyard Park.
Good afternoon, Satoshi Kido from Sports Division, Bloomington Parks and Recreation. Staff recommend approval of Electronic Plus contract agreement for the basketball rights project at Switchyard Park. The Sports Division received 4 different quotes: ESL, $42,288, Electric Plus, $59,835, Moscow, $64,015. Quality lights, $79,998. The ESL quote was the lowest, but work does not include an electronic connection from the existing power line. Electronic Plus provides materials, installation, and the electric work. Electronic Plus also provides better warranties and the on-site control system. Happy to answer any questions.
This is not a replacement of bad lights, or this is something that will be upon the request of council members and also people playing in the courts.
Since I started here 2 years ago, I've been hearing from communities they want to get the lights up in basketball courts.
All right.
Move for approval of contract with Electric Plus for Switchyard Park basketball court light installation.
Second.
All right, and a roll call vote. Ellen Rodkey. Aye.
Israel Herrera.
Aye.
Jim Whitlatch.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Thanks, Keto. All right, next up, we'll have Darren Eads here to tell us about a contract with Jack Laurie Group for TLRC.
Good afternoon, Darren Eads, Sports Facility Coordinator. You have before you this afternoon a contract with the Jack Laurie Group for the recoating of the hardwood courts at Twin Lakes Recreation Center. A little background on this: back in 2016, we did a resurface, and just the difference between that and resurfacing is they take it all the way down to the bare wood, repaint lines, then put the finish on it. This is basically just they'll come in, they'll screen them, and put a couple more layers of protection on there to get us through a few more years. We did receive 4 bids. Jack Laurie was the lowest, and I've spoke with several references here in Indiana, and they have nothing but good experience with the Jack Laurie Group. So seek your approval with that. Be glad to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions?
I assume there's a limit to the number of times you can sand them all the way down. How many more do we have of that, do you think?
You know, when we did that back in 2016, it's the first time they'd ever been resurfaced since they were installed in '99. So the gentleman who did it retired shortly after. He said, "Man, I wish I would have retired before we did this." I think we probably have about 2 more resurfaces in that. And it really just depends, really how well you keep them maintained. And really, the industry standard says you should really be recoating every year. And it's really depend on your play. Now, we're not doing that right now. We'd love to do that right now, but right now just, whatever budget allows is what we do. But we're maintaining them pretty well, so.
Thank you. Move for approval of the contract with Jack Laurie Group for the Twin Lakes Recreation Center court resurfacing.
Second.
All right, and a roll call vote, Kim?
Ellen Rodkey.
Aye.
Israel Herrera.
Aye.
Jim Whitlatch.
Aye.
All right, motion
Thank
passes.
you.
Thanks, Darren. All right, so we'll move into D, our report section, and we'll welcome Keto back up here to tell us about the Bloomington Pickleball Club. The Pickle Club would be a vastly different club. A little tangier.
Satoshi Kido, Sports Division. How many of you guys are here from BPC? Wow. Wow. That's great. If I remember right, back in February, BPC and Bloomington Parks and Recreation signed partnership agreement. And this is the first year we went through the season. And Daniel Sessions, president of BPC, unfortunately he won't be here today, but Danny is here. He's, I believe, vice chair of the organization. Yep. He's gonna give us presentation, including BPC activities in the 2023 season, number of events, participation, and financial contribution to the Bloomington Parks and Recreation.
Thank you, Keto, for that introduction, and thank you, board and staff, for this opportunity to come before you tonight. So my name is Donna Young. I'm the vice chair of the Bloomington Pickleball Club, and along with these other beautiful folks here to join you and give you a report on how things have been going over the last year. We are a new club that formed in January for the sport of pickleball. Our intention is to promote the play, the community, and provide resources for pickleball here in the Bloomington area. To give you a quick background on pickleball, it's a rapidly growing sport. You probably hear about it on the news and TV and see and hear about your friends playing it. Just a little bit of other background, it's kind of a blend between tennis, badminton, table tennis. What's very unique about it, though, is it's highly accessible across all demographics. So if you go out to Switchyard Park or if you go to RCA Park, you'll see at different time periods people of every demographic out there oftentimes playing together in open play. So we have both youth, college students, and adults of all ages out there. It's growing rapidly, not only because of how fun it is to play, but because of the health benefits. I also will say the social benefits and the community that comes with it. As a result of our partnership, in early February, we were hosting events 2 nights, 2 evenings of the week. Over that time period until early October, we held over 105 events. During that time period, we had 1,600 individual registrations for those events. Sometimes the only limitation was that we did not have enough registration slots or court space. Otherwise, we would have had much higher demand, as we had over 300 members of the Bloomington Pickleball Club join this last year alone. On the side, some of us are involved with the IU Pickleball Club. We have over 500 student members of that organization as well. So demand is high, to say the least. So as a result of all those activities, there's some fundraising involved with those registrations and those events. So one of the items that we have done to benefit the community and Parks and Recreation is we purchased windscreens that have been installed during the outdoor season that cost about $1,500 that Parks and Rec helped us install and then take down, that we are storing over the winter months and will be installed again next spring. And also we, according to our partnership agreement, we sent a check for $243 just for our summer activities that we've given to Parks and Recreation. So really quickly, I'd take a moment to share some things that we learned from our experience and with this partnership. First, investing in more dedicated pickleball courts is crucial. So existing facilities often struggle to meet the rising demand, leading to longer wait times and limited playing opportunities. Additionally, the RCA Parks courts have several cracks in playing surfaces that pose risks to players that should be repaired. By improving and expanding our court infrastructure, we can create a welcoming environment for enthusiasts of all ages, fostering a sense of community and encouraging an active lifestyle. Another urgently needed aspect of this is lighting for the courts for evening play. We're very happy to see that on the agenda today that was approved, so thank you for that. Moreover, increased support for pickleball programs and events can help boost community engagement. For beginner clinics to competitive tournaments, these initiatives not only provide entertainment, but also promote physical well-being and social interaction. By organizing regular events, we can build a vibrant pickleball community that brings people together and strengthens the fabric of our town. We have greatly enjoyed the partnership of staff in our inaugural year of the BPC. We believe that with continued forward progress, we can cultivate a wonderful thing together here in Bloomington. In conclusion, the growth of pickleball in our community is an opportunity waiting to be seized. We come to you today as a collective club body to urge you to invest in pickleball infrastructure with haste. Together, we can elevate pickleball from a niche activity to a beloved community pastime. So let's embrace this chance to enhance our town's recreational landscape and create a healthier, more connected community for generations to come. Thank you. And we'd love to answer any questions that you might have for us.
I've got a couple of questions. Do you have an inventory of how many pickleball courts there are in this area? And I don't know how you define this area, but Bloomington, Monroe County?
So permanent courts, we have 4 at Switchyard Park, and then we have the 6 courts at RCA Park. And then recently they did at Parkridge East, put in lines for one of the tennis courts. That gives us 2 temporary, and again, Keto would first like to thank him in particular for being a champion for us and helping us in a lot of these initiatives. They set out a container there where we can pop up temporary nets, so that gives us 2 more. The university is definitely behind, and we'd love to help nudge them along in their progress because they do not have any permanent courts. They have lines installed on some of their tennis courts, but that requires you to adjust the net heights, and you're competing as opposed to having separate play. So that is it. There's actually only the 6 at RCA and 4 at Switchyard that are permanent, and then at Twin Lakes Recreation Center is a popular indoor location. They have lines, but that is according to when there is available times to reserve that space.
So what's that comes to, what, 15 or 12, or what's the?
Yeah, so 10 permanent outdoor courts.
Yeah, okay, 10 permanent outdoor. Are there any private outdoor courts, like on apartment complexes or other places that, I'm not saying that you can use them or not, I'm just curious if there's other places where they're available.
Not that I have seen. The country club. Okay, so there are a few neighborhoods and locations. The country club, and then we know down also at the Eagle Point.
I heard Peppergrass, which is a condominium project.
Yeah.
But the university has no permanent courts.
They do not.
Is not in Bloomington now, but are there communities where private pickleball clubs have started? Is that a thing, like it was for a while, at least with tennis clubs, where they had? Is that a thing for pickleball?
It is. So every major city you go to, you will see these private clubs. In fact, Indy has a very large one, and then several of the communities outside of Indianapolis have these clubs as well. So some of them with Lifetime Fitness, and others it's called the Indy Pickleball Club, and they have a facility as well. So we're hoping to have one eventually here in Bloomington, but we would definitely love to see the public spaces increase as well.
I understand. Thank you.
Are the private mostly outdoor, or do they have indoor clubs as well?
They have a combination. In colder areas like this, you definitely see some indoor, just because basically October through March, it'd be difficult to play outdoors.
Okay. Other questions? All right.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for presenting. And
I feel like Ruth wants something to potentially chime in, but.
well, you can come on if you want to come on up to the podium if you're able.
Wait.
There are 5 basketball courts at University. Only 2 of them are lined for pickleball. That's 4 courts, 4 big ball courts. Sometimes we have 36, 38 players there in the winter time.
Okay.
Okay, which is not nearly enough. we will start talking to them on 2 times about possibly lining at least one more court, if not all of them.
Yeah, indoors and outdoors throughout the summer, indoors throughout the winter, there will always be a queue of people waiting to use courts, especially at peak times in the morning and evening. It's kind of disappointing to see crowds arrive with their equipment to have to turn around. But those, at least we have a strong community at TLRC where they have a relationship and they have a rotation, but that can often be, sitting for the majority of your time waiting for an opportunity to play on those courts.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, so we will move then into section E for public comment. So if anyone would like to make public comment today, we'd welcome you up to the podium. You'll just sign in, I believe, up there, and then tell us your name, and you have a 2-minute comment period.
Please raise your hand.
Thank you. All right, I'm Steph Duvall, and I am a member of the BPC. And I wanted to just make a comment that I play outdoors almost every single day with a group of women. And for instance, I just came from pickleball outside at our skate parks. It's 32 degrees out, and we had 10 people playing. So we do play year-round. If the courts are dry, we're out there. The issues that we run into with those facilities is that we have several cracks on the courts that are a problem. We don't have lights at night to play. We don't have any separators for the courts. So if you're playing, you're 5 feet from the next group, you hit a ball, it's going into their court. So I've been to several other cities and played. For instance, Washington, Indiana has amazing courts. They have separators around all of them. They have basically like a dugout area. And they're a very small community. It's kind of, honestly, a little bit embarrassing. We can't host any sort of tournaments, which is a pretty good source of revenue for cities as well. And when I look at like the recreational play that's organized for adult sports like basketball or volleyball with the city, it seems like there's a big commitment, but for pickleball, which is a bigger community, we don't have that. So I would really, really like the city to invest in the pickleball facilities for the community. So, yeah.
Yeah. Other public comment, feel free to make your way to the podium.
Hi, my name is Timber Tucker, and I'm part of this community and on the board of the BPC. And I've been doing quite a bit of work around development in this space. I've not informed my lawyer of this yet, but I'm actually selling my business here in town, and we're working on some development. And you mentioned indoor play. What I've really learned in looking at other communities and as we look at indoor facilities probably are more and more the purview of private. We're hoping to put one in here very soon, but outdoor facilities, we're really finding in most communities are public courts. And the demand is far outstripping. IU's a problem. I'm also helping out with the IU pickleball program, and they have 0 courts on campus. So what ends up happening, and one of the reasons I got involved in this side of it was the IU students come and invade the city courts. They're their courts too, but then that just makes it that much more of a problem. And as we're seeing, the demand is only going up. This sport actually began before I was born. It began in 1965. A lot of people don't realize that. But over the past 6 to 8 years, it's exploded. And all of the settings we've looked at in developing, obviously we have an interest in it, developing private places, it's not going away. It's not racquetball. Old rec guys like me look at racquetball, remember racquetball, everybody built a racquetball court, and then 2 years later, no one was using them. Part of that was because you age out of racquetball. Racquetball's hard on your body. You don't age out of pickleball. A lot of us aged into pickleball. And it's right, it did grow with baby boomers. Now it is becoming extraordinarily popular in the younger set. The #1 woman player in the world is not 20 yet. And we're only going to see more of this, is my point. So I know we talk a lot about short-term things. We talk about surfacing courts, and we talk about lights and things like that. We've also got to be looking long-term in the community, because right now there are now more pickleball players in America than there are golfers or tennis players. And the projection is in 5 years there will be more pickleball players than golfers and tennis players combined. So I really implore the city to continue to think in the short term, obviously, but also in the long term. Thank you. And sorry to let you know that, Jim, that way.
Good afternoon. My name is Steve Jackson. Since I heard that they're going to resurface the Twin Lakes Recreation, I would like to recommend that they take all 5 basketball courts and at least put lines down for pickleball courts. That would give us 10 courts. Where right now on the 4 courts we have, a lot of the times they'll rent the courts, and because of that, then we're not allowed to play on the courts that was marked for pickleballs. So on the weekends, some weekends, we don't play pickleball Twin Lakes is because the courts are rented, but there's empty courts going on at the same time. I'm one of the original 10 players here in Bloomington, and I started playing about 13 years ago. So I've seen where we've taped lines on courts, we've chalked the courts, and one of the reasons why me and my wife moved to Bloomington was because it was one of the best places in Indiana to retire at the time. Well, pickleball community keeps growing, but we don't have near the facilities that we need for pickleball. So if you go over to RCA Park, there's big cracks in the courts. The only dividers we got are old tennis nets that's falling apart. Some of the nets, we've duct taped them together to play on them this summer. So I don't think they're doing a very good job of maintaining the courts here in Bloomington. Now, I also travel to different places, see a lot of different pickleball courts, and we're about 8 years behind everybody else in the courts. I mean, Bedford, Indiana, 8 new courts. Bloomfield, Indiana, 2 new courts. So I see all these courts going up, and all I do is see the cracks getting bigger here in Bloomington. So, thank you.
Other comments online, or if you're on Zoom, you can use the raise hand feature. All right.
All right.
Minutes.
Hi, my name is Jody Smith. I'm a community member here and a new to pickleball type player. I just wanted to emphasize the social nature of pickleball. I can show up at a court by myself and feed into a game and meet people. It was a critical juncture in my life where I really needed to meet other people, and this community has been incredible. Incredibly friendly, incredibly welcoming, and as ambassadors for our city and for wellness and health and vitality, I can't think of anything better to invest in. And just, some stories. I can go to Cincinnati and play in these amazing courts. And while I was there, my partner and I said these 2 guys were playing by themselves. They're about 20 years old, and they were like, they played with us and we beat them. They're 30 years younger than I am, and they're like, you remind us of our aunt and uncle, and we've been trying to beat them because they're 20, they're boys, they're super athletic, they're obviously playing on the University of Cincinnati, some team. I'm just some mom, playing pickleball, and I can beat them. Not that I care to beat them, but it was just a really funny moment where they're like, they play with their aunt and uncle. They played with us. It's not a big deal, the intergenerational. I just wanted to emphasize that, and I see it day in and day out at Switchyard and RCA, and just the different flavors of courts. So the way courts operate socially is different, and so the way that you can feed in and have hours and have open hours is just really critical to the sport and to the accessibility of it. So, and thank you, and I really encourage this as an investment for Bloomington.
All right, anyone else tonight? And a reminder, if you have any other public comment on other agenda items, it's not just restricted to pickleball, although that's our... Sure, come on up.
Hello, my name is Judy Henry. I started playing in 2010 at Twin Lakes. Steve Jackson. Many of the people that I played with either health-wise can't play anymore, or sadly they've passed away. We had one court. We were lucky to get 6 people. At that time, everybody said, pickleball's a fad. It's a fad. Well, I'm here to tell you, it is not a fad. Now we have little kids that are coming onto the courts to play. And as Steve reiterated, and I will too, we are behind other cities of our size in the construction of pickleball courts. You have tennis courts here in the city that are not being used that could be lined for pickleball. Many of us have our own personal nets. We could go and play, but that has never been addressed. At Twin Lakes, when you have 40 people come, you need more than 4 courts. You need to accommodate your members and what their interests are. You go into Twin Lakes in the morning, all those courts are empty and they're not lined. You need to think about that. I love pickleball. What started out as a game for people of a certain age, it's no longer that. You have all ages playing and all skills levels. RCA is busy all the time. We play all winter long in 22-degree weather. We love the game, but I'm worried about tripping on the cracks. So I will hope that that will be addressed, and please support pickleball. It's here to stay. Thank you.
My name's Julie Sachs. Love to play pickleball. It's addictive. One thing I did want to say is there are some people who join Twin Lakes and play in the winter, especially just, you know, so your membership goes to someone who wants to use their entire time at Twin Lakes to play nothing but pickleball and, you know, nothing else. So when a typical game takes about 15 minutes or so to play, and often people, especially when courts are reserved and you only have 2 courts to play on out of the 4 that are available, you spend more time sitting on the bench waiting for your turn. So I think it was last weekend on Saturday, people were waiting about 45 minutes to play one game. So out of an hour, you're playing one game that takes 15 minutes. So I just wanted to mention that as well. Okay? Thank you so much for listening. Appreciate it. Mm-hmm.
Hi, my name's Patrick Counts. I've been Elm Heights, Bryan Park, 57 years I've lived there. Today I watched the tennis courts at Bryan Park. There are 3, and then there's 2 cut off. 2 tennis courts make 4 pickleball courts. It's already cut off. You can turn those and put 4 pickleball courts completely cut off from the tennis courts. There's never anybody there, and the people that are there are playing pickleball over a tennis ball net. I go by there every single day 10 times. So just an idea.
Well, with that, thank you all so much for your participation tonight. Tim, do you have any closing comments for this evening's meeting?
Yeah, thank you, Ellen. A few things to mention going on and a few end-of-the-year things. One is we are currently engaged in our Building Trades Park Master Plan process. We've had 2 really great public meetings so far. We had the second one earlier this week. Pickleball has come up as part of that master plan process, so if you're interested in that, you can certainly check out the Building Trades Park website where the new master plan is posted. It is, of course, not final. We are collecting feedback into the new year before we work with our landscape architect on further developments of that master plan. We continue to collect gateway feedback on the current concept that's out there, that's going on. And this Friday at 11:30 a.m., we'll be having a celebration of the Griffey Loop Trail. Basically, the completion of the dam crossing portion of the trail, which is now completely finished and open to the public, and the impending completion of the South Shore Loop Trail, which is 4.5 miles of new hiking trail that is just wonderful on the south shore of Griffey Lake that connects the east and the west sides. So that'll be 11:30 a.m. at the dam on Friday. Also want to mention the Parks Department recently finished the Rogers Street Sidewalk Extension project on the west side of Switchyard Park, and that is now complete and open and connected through. Lastly, I just want to thank everyone involved for a successful 2023, and especially the board. Thank you for your service and for I wish I'd pulled the number, hundreds of agenda items I know we've gone through, and contracts and amendments and all of the things that you do to support the Parks Department. So that is all I have, and Happy New Year.
All right, any other comments?
Yeah, one comment. Yeah, congratulations for your official appointment as a Parks and Recreation.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Tim.
Tim Street, our new Director of Parks and Recreation for the City of Bloomington. And just want to say a year-end thank you to all of the Parks and Recreation staff for all the work that you do. It's really just a beautiful town that we live in, and I know there's a lot of things we can do to make it better, which we'll keep doing, and we just appreciate everything that you do and have done this year. So with that, I will conclude the December meeting of the Board of Park Commissioners and see you all next year.